As always, there's a little bit of a theme going on in my clinic, and lately there's been a lot of gut issues and brain issues, so people feeling like their brains are inflamed. So this has been, maybe the last 6, 7, 8, 9 months where it's been fairly consistent, where it doesn't seem to matter what other symptoms people have. There's often brain inflammation and gut inflammation going on as well. And I just wanted to chat briefly about the gut-brain connection. So last year when I was at a conference, one of my companies, Metagenics, they held this conference, and they always have amazing researchers from around the world. And there was a researcher from Israel who had done some experiments where he had basically got the little 6-inch small intestines from 6 little white mice. I don't know what happened to the rest of the mice, but then they were attached to these machines and they were able to put things into the gut and see what happened with the nerves in the gut, the microbiome of the gut, the different layers of the gut. There's about 6 layers of the gut. There's an immune layer and a nerve layer. There's the smooth, silky layer that holds our little good gut bacteria. There's the villi. There can be mucoid plaque if we've got all sorts of gunge stored in our gut. So there's different layers of the gut. And what he found was that there's a beautiful little lizard up ahead. I'll just go nice and slowly. I don't want to scare him. He's about 40 centimeters long. I do love lizards. Anyway, what he did was used lots of different allergens and toxins. He's gone, ran off into the bushes. He was beautiful. I think it might have been a big gecko or a big, let me see if I can find him. Oh, there he is. He's hiding. They're so beautiful. So basically what was interesting was that after he did these experiments, they biopsied the small intestines and they had different colours for different parts of the gut. So the nerve section would end up green and the microbiome would end up red, and so different layers. They did some sort of process to colour different levels to see what had been affected the most by the allergens. And what was really interesting is that in just about everything, it was the nervous system layer that was the most affected. So just say the nerves were bright green, because it's bright green I'm visualizing from, 6 months ago. There was heaps and heaps of bright green and less of everything else. So basically the nerves in the gut were affected by everything first, which to me was really quite fascinating. I was expecting the microbiome to be most affected or the immune layer to be most affected, and they weren't. And then yesterday I was listening to a podcast. I can't remember what it's called, but I'll try to put it in the information about this video when I upload it, which is basically about neurological discoveries that are going to save the world. is the way that it was put up, which of course sounded like a big ask, and you have a listen. And what a surprise, it's everything that we've been talking about on this channel for the last 10 years. If your body's running in survival, nothing else works very well. So your gut, for example, if you are stressed and subconsciously or unconsciously you believe you're about to get eaten by a tiger because the bills are on the table and they haven't been paid, or your electricity bill was, $400 more this quarter than what it was last quarter. That was me. If it's, you've just had a breakup, and your nervous system's overloaded, whatever, or if your job's on the line, whatever it is, if your body thinks that you're in survival, then your body will be shutting down the gut, because it doesn't know what's real and what's imaginary. It doesn't know that losing your job isn't going to kill you. It doesn't know that having a bigger electricity bill than normal isn't going to kill you, because your nervous system is just going by subconscious stuff or unconscious stuff. The survival stuff is actually in the unconscious brain. The amygdala, to do with fight, flight, freeze, that sort of thing, that's in the subconscious brain. So with the gut, part of it, and this is why meditation and breathing and yoga and mindfulness are so important, is that your gut, there's a massive, massive gut-brain connection. So whatever it is that your brain is feeling, your gut will be feeling it too, and vice versa. So having brain inflammation and gut inflammation simultaneously really isn't, it's not a surprise. It's just not a surprise. So when we're healing them, we need to be healing them both. And how often do people start having issues with their mental health and their gut goes bad simultaneously? Now, part of that is that a lot of psychotropic drugs actually mess with hormones in the gut, like serotonin. So we have less serotonin the longer we're on some medications. So yeah, so the nerve. So what this interview yesterday was saying was that your physical body is adapting to the world around us. So the whole microbiome, the world around us, we are adapting to that all of the time. But the nervous system wants to know why we're adapting to it. So the nerves need the why, which is why it's been such a struggle for the human consciousness, well, certainly the last 3 years, when a lot of people are really starting to see bigger pictures of the world around us. Potentially some governments aren't out for our best. Potentially some institutions aren't really looking at the best for us. They're looking at the best for them. And therefore we, as the humanity underneath the elite, we need to be looking out for ourselves. We need to be paying attention so that we're there for our loved ones and our children and grandchildren and kids and grandkids. So it's one of these things where the nervous system is struggling because things are changing so rapidly, and we don't have what we had 100 years ago. So 100 years ago we had much more integrated communities where people looked out for each other. So I've only spoken to my neighbour on one side about 5 times in the last 20, and probably 4 of them, well, maybe, okay, I might have talked, anyway, it might be more than that. But 5 times have been in the last few months since she's had the jabs and has been neurologically damaged. So that has created a bond between us that we've been chatting about, because I've been treating it for 30 years and she's now experienced it, and her husband was as well, unfortunately. So it's going to be an interesting time moving forward on the planet, looking at the neurology and the inflammation in the brain and really working out solutions for that. And, and I love things like bramitone and ginkgo and essential fatty acids, the eicosapentaenoic acid in fish oils. The DHA is even more effective for some people, but that's very much an individual thing. SPMs can be really beneficial, the specific pain mediators in fish oils, which is quite separate to the EPA and DHA. Glutamine is really important for both the gut and the brain. So glutamine supplements help to heal the gut lining, but they're also involved in the neurology in the brain so that your nerves actually spark and fire at the right rate. Things like 5-HTP and SAMI, and there's lots of beautiful nutrition for the brain. In fact, when our balance is out, nearly always we've got iodine deficiencies, and iodine's very much linked in with our thyroid. We need iodine and tyrosine to make our thyroid hormone, and if our thyroid is challenged, and a lot of people have got challenged thyroid when they're not purifying their water, when they're eating too much wheat and dairy. There's so much Epstein-Barr virus out there, and that's actually hidden in some other vaccines. So unfortunately, it's one of these things it's quite rife. I mean, they use different viruses to create other things in different pharmaceuticals. So it's been a real issue when I do bioresonance, and I just find all of these things around the body, and then you have to find out a way of detoxifying them. I love the sulforaphane for really starting to wind some of it back as well, because sulforaphane, which is the molecule that's in things like broccoli seed extract, as much so more than, say, the broccoli itself, when you get plenty of that in, what that helps to do is switch back on your pro-detoxing genes and switch back on your anti-inflammatory genes, because lots of things can switch them off, like stress and trauma and medications and anesthetics. So lots of things can actually switch on your, or switch off your protection genes. So protecting our genes with greens and purified water and organic food and good lifestyle, getting some good sunshine, getting out in the fresh air when it's nice and fresh. It's a bit muggy today. Oh, some big spiders in the... It's all where I just like to know where the spiders are, and then my amygdala is safe and happy. Yeah, I had a spider incident last week, but that's okay. So yeah, so that's just a few of my thoughts about the gut-brain connection. And I'll try to post the link to the video I was listening to yesterday. I'm not through it, I'm about halfway through it. It's about an hour and 20 minutes long. And the guy is hoping, well, everyone's hoping it's a bestseller. I'm sure everyone hopes everything's a bestseller, of course. But I think it's just more information that helps us understand the human condition and the power of that unconscious brain compared to our conscious brain. And he sort of talks about it in different terminology. But as I was listening, I was thinking, yay, kinesiology has been doing that with me for 25 years. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, beautiful day to you all. I'm out here exercising, so I'll talk to you all again soon. Have a great one. Mwah. Bye.